Welcome to the Yoke Podcast, where we talk about all things entrepreneurship, real estate, and partnerships. I'm your host, Travis Hall, alongside my co-host and wife, Ingrid. Together, we've been in real estate for nearly 2 decades, always as an equally yoked husband and wife team.
Join us each week as we bring you a new episode. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, follow along, and welcome to this week's episode of
The Yoke Podcast. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Yoke Podcast. I am Travis Hall, your host, and I'm currently at one of our short-term rentals, our A-frame cabin that we have in Grand Lake. I figured what better place to record our 3rd episode than at the actual short-term that we have. And I'm super excited. We have a gal named Bre, and she is absolutely crushing it. Bre Fleschner. Her and I are in the same community, the Subto community with a Pace Morby, and she's an owner's club with me. And so I thought, what better person to bring on than someone who is just crushing it in the space and has really, really cool properties. And just you bring a unique kind of a value. I'll read a little bit about your bio. You said of yourself that you are, or maybe chat helped you with this, I'm not sure, but you said that you are creating you have a keen eye and deep understanding in what today's guests actually want. And judging by your properties, you are definitely creating experiences. You are the founder of Dreamhouse Vacation Rentals, and you specialize in curating highly Instagrammable Airbnbs that cater toward females, bachelorette parties, birthdays, girls' getaways. So super cool. I'm excited because that is not what I do. You do it very well at a very high level. So I'm excited to chat and just ask you some questions, and you can tell the audience kind of what you're doing. So first question, tell us a little bit about you and your journey to where you are today. You said you are a nomadic right now. You are in Pigeon Forge. And so I would tell people if they're near you to reach out, but you're a nomad, which is awesome. So yeah, tell us about your journey.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for allowing me to just speak in this space. I'm really excited. But yeah, so I am Bre, also known as the Dreamhouse Girl. That's where
I
all
love
my
it.
socials are, but kind of just, yeah, I love the idea of just like marketing with the properties, but how I even got started or why I got started, like really, we're just gonna go deep real quick. Um,
Let's do it.
I honestly loved everything about real estate. I've always wanted to, own my own business growing up. Both my parents were entrepreneurs. And so I followed in their footsteps of wanting to own my own business. And my dad also taught me a lot about, just being really handy around the house and everything. And it's just, I almost like had the idea of like doing the whole like Chip and Joanna Gaines kind of thing way back when I was in high school.
I love it.
Just love that little lifestyle. But I also wanted to create a life that revolved around financial and time freedom. And I love traveling. I love just going and exploring in new places. And I never really knew exactly where I wanted like to plant my roots. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, St. Charles area. And I love like just going to different places. But also I wanted to build something for my future family to give me that time and freedom to basically make money while I'm sleeping, but also I can be like that mom who's always 100% present, basically a stay-at-home mom, but we're very financially stable as well. So I was like, well, how can I do that if I want to be that mom, future mom? I'm very single, very like far out into the future of like manifesting what my dream life looks like. We're
I love
working
it.
towards it. But yeah, so I knew what I wanted. So I started backtracking. Well, how can I make that possible? And I loved short-term rentals. Me and my friends would stay at them all the time, like way back and right when it was really booming, not booming, but first got like that huge like spike in 2014. We just every almost season we'd go somewhere different. And I was like, it'd be so cool to just have these kinds of properties. But one thing that also spiked my interest, I used to be a competitive cheerleader. Long story short, every year we go to this huge, massive cheerleading competition called Worlds in Disneyland or Disney World.
Mhm.
And staying in those kinds of resorts, they make you feel like you're actually there, like in a movie or just in their like show. If you've ever been, like it's just such an amazing experience. And that's when I was like, it would be so cool. Again, this was back in like 2015. It'd be so cool to have a Airbnb like property that like every room would be like this cool different like theme, and hidden Mickeys like all over the house. Like it'd be so
Love it.
amazing. Flash forward to 10 years later, it's like you can't even find a house that's not like that. So I'm like, dang, I should have figured out the real estate career. I mean, I was only like 22 at the time, really thinking of that idea. I was just like, this, yeah, it'd be such a cool idea. And then having these vacation homes across the US in places I want to vacation and stay at and live in possibly for longer periods of time. Like that's just like an added benefit of, owning these properties, these Airbnbs. I'll just rent them out and they'll make me money when I'm not there. So that's kind of the whole idea of why I wanted to get into short-term rentals and real estate in general. That's and then like the whole like let's create an experience. That's really where it started too. I got my first one back in 2021 in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was actually
Okay.
living there at the time, and
It's a good
I
spot.
yeah, I started doing arbitrage, learning a little bit about that. Then COVID hit, and I actually saw someone who was her name or she owned the Pink Cactus and she was doing exactly what I wanted to do. And she was a realtor as well. So I was like, hey, this is exactly what I want to do. I know everything about Airbnb now, but like, can you give me some insight on like what your numbers are? And she did. And I took them to some family friends who ended up being my private money lenders. We went just traditional, 20% down. Bought the house. I did a little bit of the makeover. It was this very small, like lipstick kind of flip, really easy.
Was
And
it like
then
a
just
condo or a house or what was it?
it's a house, yeah. It was a 3 bed, 3 bath house. We ended up converting the garage into another fourth bedroom. We did so much amazing landscape work in the back, repainted basically the entire house. And I actually do my murals myself. So
Cool.
we'll link it somewhere in the description of so you can
Absolutely.
actually see it. But yeah, and I just did the whole thing myself and started kind of using social media platforms to share my journey, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I went viral on one post. It had like 500,000 views.
Wow.
Um,
That's a
I
lot in my
actually
book.
yeah, I actually launched the property before I even finished it on Airbnb with maybe like 10 pictures. Again, like a lot of it was done. Like they saw what I was doing, but I couldn't really, not one room was actually completely finished. But my entire summer, I launched it like, I think it was um, March 1st is when I like posted it. And every single weekend, all the way through like September was booked up.
Wow.
Almost every single weekend, just
You're
off
like,
of social
all right, let's
media.
do this again.
Yeah, I was like, should I raise my prices now?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so yeah, that was an amazing success. Made over $100,000 in its first year. And I was like, this is really, really cool, but how do I do this again? And that's kind of when I dove into mentorships and other courses about real estate investing. And I was like, this is how it all works. This is how you find off market properties. And this is how that I have did the real estate investing, but I just used traditional and went, 20% down instead of like trying to figure out other
Right.
ways around that. But yeah, it was an awesome little jump start. And again, it was targeted to women. Scottsdale was a huge bachelorette place.
So was that on purpose, like targeting, or was it kind of like, hey, makes sense, and it kind of fell into it, or was like, I'm going to set out to do that?
I always I wanted to have like the themed Airbnbs, very unique, very different, just an experience. I always want to give them an experience. I don't want just a traditional home. I want like you come into the space and you're like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing kind of vibes. Like I want people to feel good and be like, this is the most beautiful house I've ever seen, or this is the most fun house. Like I'm so excited. For the bachelorettes, I guess it really was kind of living in Scottsdale. And then I guess it did kind of just start targeting towards like, let's just focus on women and girls' trips and everything. One, because they are a little bit
Cleaner.
not so, yeah, a little bit cleaner. Sometimes they're not, but also like, hey, let's not throw punches in the walls,
Right. They're not as rough on the
smoke
property.
everywhere, and
Yes.
because I mean, yeah, Scottsdale is number 2 for bachelorettes, bachelor parties, all this stuff. So Yeah, and it's been so much fun and actually catering to them and seeing how happy they are, sharing their pictures on social media. It's really, really cool. But
That's awesome. Well, I imagine like you said, your initial story back in 2014 was you and your girlfriends going, not maybe not bachelorette party, but that's what you did and what you loved, and so it's makes sense that you've created that. So let's talk about like specifics, or at least a couple of specific. Like, what makes yours unique? Like how, like you talk about the experience, and like what is like one thing you're like, I'm always doing this. I'm sure you have like a wow factor or something that's unique, but like you don't have to talk about all the details. But like if I walk in yours and I'm like, this is clearly Bree's property.
so I know a lot of people have started, following along and kind of replicating or, repeating the theme and stuff. And that's why I'm trying to build a brand behind it,
Mhm.
which I'll get to in just a second. But yeah, so for my properties, they need to have like pops of color or wherever the theme is. Because again, I don't want to just constantly invest in like Scottsdale area. I want to, invest all over the US in those high travel destinations for several reasons. One, people are constantly always traveling, so the equity is continue to like slowly growing or it's stagnant at least. I do a lot of murals. I paint all my murals myself. And then also we do like makeup stations, depending again on the location, has to have like a swimming pool, spa, just something cool like that. And then also, yeah, it's just unique. When you think of something unique, it has to be different. It has to be just not the traditional, like, walk into the room, you got just comforter and just blank walls or whatever. Just
Right.
really just fun. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, like this property that I'm in right now is not that, but it is like your quintessential like Colorado cabin. It's in, I don't know if you're familiar, it's in Grand Lake, Colorado. And so we're right on the water. And that's what makes this one so different is that it's super quaint and it's really cute and it's right on the water. It's got the hot tub, it hits
Oh, that's nice.
all the things. And it's not a giant home. A lot of these are giant homes and they're super cool, but they're like
Hmm.
$3,000 a night in the summer.
Yeah.
And so it's like we are not that. And so we kind of hit this unique little niche. And
Yeah.
in the summer it booms. It's kind of crazy.
That's the thing too. It's like I'm slowly transitioning into that. And again, we do cater to like larger parties, but sometimes a group of six is all you need too. So I am
Right.
actually looking to invest in like even smaller properties that can fit that. Because you're not always traveling with 12 plus women. So it does help. And if you can find the property or you or guess buy it correctly with the right terms and what you need,
Which
the
is
cash
key.
flow, it's like, yeah, yeah.
Well, let's
There's
talk
so
about
much
that.
that goes
Let's talk
into
about buying.
Airbnb.
Oh, there's so much. And I'm sure
So much.
you probably get it all the time too. I get a lot of questions like, hey, I want to buy an Airbnb. And I just all I need is for it to cover itself. I'm like, well, that is it takes a lot more than just like getting your wallet out. You got to go buy something that is unique, especially right now in 2025. It is not the easiest business to be in. There's a lot of competition and
Yeah.
rates are high. And so all those things. So let's talk about actually, acquiring new ones because you are actively pursuing and trying to buy more short terms right now, right?
Yes,
And so
correct.
if you're going to go look, it sounds like you do some due diligence on travel, on like where are the hotspots, where are people traveling to, for number one. And so if you've targeted down on an actual area, just high level, what are you like looking for to acquire property?
Honestly, every area is a little bit different, but obviously we have to make sure it's in the cash flow, which is why I'm actually looking more towards like creative deals, up to deals than just traditional like, going with a DSCR loan and things like that. That helps with the cash flow. That's it right there though. Like I know the locations that I want to buy in. So it's just really running the numbers, seeing how other people do in the area. It's really important. But with me being themed, I have to kind of look for other themed properties or other unique properties that are very comparable to what I'm doing. So like if I was looking in like Austin, Texas, one property, is called the Pink Pickle, Rob Abasolo's property. He's very targeted to like women and bachelorettes, and he does very, very well. And it's further out from the actual city. So I'm sure that property is actually a little bit more affordable, but it's like, oh, well, look how good that property is doing, even still being out there. But again, like marketing is so freaking important as well. Having a market strategy, and that's why I'm building the Dreamhouse brand because my goal is not to just stick to Airbnb, to create this guests that want to constantly travel again and again and not just stay in like that Scottsdale property, not just stay in the Nashville one, but like just go across anywhere, like again, when me and my girls were, in our 20s just traveling around, we would never like even for bachelorettes, like we never stayed in like the same city. We never wanted to travel to the same city. And even if someone did, they would just choose somewhere else. So it's like, let me create this brand, this Dreamhouse brand that, I can just constantly have this repetitive guest. So then my income will continue to grow and grow the more people stay at all the properties, because we instantly capture their emails, their contact information, and they kind of in sense become lifelong
Right.
guests.
So
I, I will
as you
say
bring in more, you can just tell them like, hey, here's another one. Go check it out.
exactly. Yeah,
That's smart.
exactly. So I honestly should have marketed a lot sooner, especially with like the dream house, but I didn't really know what this could have turned into. Using products like StayFi for the properties can be really, really helpful. Actually, my friend created a alternative for StayFi that's 100% free. And it's just a little complicated to set up, but it's honestly like it could probably take
What
you
is
30
StayFi?
minutes.
I've never heard of StayFi.
What? Oh my gosh. So StayFi, okay, so let's just say you went to a Starbucks and you're trying to log into the internet and then it asks you your information. You ask you your phone or your name, email, and then I think really that's basically it.
Right.
That's StayFi. So
So that's
anytime
how you're
someone tries to
collecting their info.
yep. So whenever someone stays at your property, they have to go through that contact into your contact info before logging into the Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah. So it's not too pricey. The systems are a little expensive, but again, my friend found another alternative that's 100% free, which is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
I just started implementing that about, a month and a half ago. I honestly have not even checked to see how many people subscribed into it. Yeah, it's really just a QR code, and then they're just like boom, 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 enter their information, and then
And they're online.
emails collected. Yep.
And that's the first thing people do when they get to your property. Like they're immediately hop on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you have to.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So I love that you are not just relying on Airbnb's algorithm to push your property or
Oh my gosh.
VRBO
Yeah.
because it
No, we
can be
can't.
so frustrating. You like bang your head against the wall, like, what are we doing wrong? And it's just people aren't seeing it.
Yeah. So here, this is the crazy thing is, so it's the Desert Dream House was my first one. And again, it was doing absolutely amazing, killing it, making 100,000 in the first year. More and more people like just started kind of replicating it. So bookings have decreased, but it is technically in Tempe. It does not have a Scottsdale zip code, but it is literally one block from Scottsdale. My other property, which is literally like a half mile away, like on the other side of Scottsdale, that property is actually a 4-bed, 2-bath, a lot smaller. Everything else is kind of the same. It's just more of a desert. It's a desert ranch, so it's like Western vibe, where like the Desert Dream House is just like girly, floral, pinks, rainbows, like just fun. The Desert Dream House is a lot bigger. Um, and it actually, like, for the ranch, I had like every single weekend, all throughout summer, almost till September, maybe like, maybe 3 weekends still available from cancellations, where the Desert Dream House for the summer is completely open still. And it's like, well, why is this one that is actually more expensive still getting all these bookings where this other one is like almost, you know, a third less of what that price is, it's bigger, can hold more people, can sleep more people. Why is that one not getting booked up when it's cheaper? And so I'm like, well, I wonder if like the addresses have something to do with
The
that.
Tempe people search
Yeah.
Scottsdale.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I wonder if that's just not popping up in the algorithm. So that's why I'm like looking at other strategic ways. Like I'm partnering with other businesses that are focused like on bachelorettes. And
Mm,
yeah,
smart.
so I just started implementing that. So we'll see how that works and if that actually brings it out. But again, just really posting on social media, I think is and creating a brand for your property can also help boost when you have all these other ones that are very similar. You
And
know,
so you post a lot on social media, right? Like you use that as you probably your number one marketing platform. Like you mentioned that
honestly,
it went viral, and like I would imagine you get guests from there.
I do. Yeah, I do. I honestly need to do a 10 times better job
We
on
all do.
posting more. Exactly. So that's like my number one goal this year is to like literally consistently post every single day on all my feeds. It's a lot of time though, but
So
it's
much.
so easy. I have the amount of free content I get from other guests is it's crazy. And so another thing that I'm implementing is um I haven't really like started it just yet, but whenever guests arrive at the property, if they post on social media, then they'll be entered into a giveaway for a free weekend for any of the properties that I have.
Wow, I
So
love that.
just another incentive, like, hey, like just post. There's just one post, and you can post up to like 5 different times to be entered, and then I'll have my VA go through it all at the end of the year to manage that.
Right. Yeah, the
But yeah, I just
logistics
thought
can
it'd be
be.
like cool to have like an added incentive because they used to post all the time and they slowed down.
And so then, do you have an individual like handle for each property, or does it all go to just to yours?
So technically I have three. So I have the Dreamhouse Girl, which is my personal one. I have Stay at Dreamhouse, which is for all the properties. And then my Taylor Swift themed house, which is in Nashville, Tennessee, has its own page, which is Swifty Dreamhouse. And so, yeah,
Got it. So you're
it's a lot
managing
to
all three of
manage.
those. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. So speaking of just management, we kind of talked about it, and the kind of the joke is right now because technology and it was a little chaotic, and you're at an Airbnb, helping your friend set it up, and it is chaotic, right? This short term, it can be, I should say, it can be chaotic doing short term rentals, and so especially in this, like your dream house, it's just like it's not booking right now, and so I'm curious, what are you doing right now to help, you know, overcome that obstacle, as well as how are you just managing all of the chaos? Are you implementing like platforms or software, or what are you
hmm
doing?
Yeah, totally. So we do have Price Labs, which is great.
Hmm. I'm a
Um,
fan as
that's
well.
on a yeah, super helpful managing that. I do have a virtual assistant to handle basically all my guest communications. The goal is to answer guests within like, 10 minutes or less,
Right.
which again, that's something that I can just delegate out and they can help with me on that. There's so many programs out there that can give you a 24/7 VA as well. That's pretty affordable. So if you're ever struggling with that and you just feel like you can't keep up and you feel like it's burning out, totally recommend getting someone. What other software? So we use Hospitable. So
Yep.
I do
I'm a
have a
fan too.
business partner. Yeah, I do have a business partner with our management company because I do manage other people's Airbnbs as well. It's not
Okay.
just mine. Yeah,
That's cool.
we're a one-stop shop.
I love it.
We focus on a short-term, mid-term, hybrid style sometimes. When also with the dream house, like that's separate, that's mine. But we love unique properties. That's my like forte. Where my business partner, she's really like classic mid-term rentals, short-term rentals, and just like traditional areas, not the high travel destinations. But then we do our own design company and we basically can be the boots on the ground. So it's awesome. But back to the softwares I use. So we use Turnover for all of our cleaning as well, which is very, very helpful as well as making sure that all those cleanings are being booked properly. Any maintenance requests, it's done on there. Any new supply orders, done on there. It's just so easy and just, yeah. So what
And
other
how
ones
many are
do
you
I use?
managing right now, including your own?
So we have about 12, 12, 14, I think.
Which is significant. I mean, just know I do three. I manage three, and the amount of communication that I manage is through Hospitable. I mean, it's nonstop.
Yeah, but hospitable is so great.
Oh, it's so great.
So my partner's been on it for a while. I just switched over, and it's so cool how the AI is actually integrating now. And
It's
it's
so
literally just
good.
click a button, it sends the full-on message. It's amazing. Really, really
Yep.
nice.
Totally. I totally agree. It's just making sure everything is good to go. I get a lot of calls though. I get a lot of Airbnb like calls, like just from guests that maybe they just found my phone number in my guest book or online, but
Mm,
I get a lot of calls, like
do
more
you really?
than I would think I would. I mean, not, I probably get 4 calls a week from guests, but just like
What?
random. Yeah.
Why? That's weird.
Right. Isn't it weird? It's
That's really weird.
like check-in
Yeah,
issues or questions about, we have kayaks and stuff like here at this cabin, and so we get questions about that, and just a lot of random questions.
we need to go through whatever your guide is and edit that so that way we don't have any more of those questions. Because I maybe get one phone call a month,
Okay, so I'm
maybe.
doing something wrong.
Maybe. I don't
Maybe it's
know.
because mine aren't all women, there are a lot of men.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't really know, but I always have real like I throw as much details as I can. I send over our guide. So I create on Canva, which is amazing too. A full-on guide of the property, any random questions, just where to find X, Y, and Z, like whatever they might need help with, it's in there. It's in there.
Do you answer
So I
the
kind of just
objection
prevent
first before they're even
before.
there?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ever have any
Got
additional
it.
questions, like this is repetitive. If it's more than once, like, let's throw it in there.
I love it. I have that your grand goal in our world, we call them your Everest. This thing that you're really shooting for and striving for is to own 25 short-term rentals, whether it's houses or boutique hotels, and they're all like geared toward women in this unique experience, right? And they're not in like cheap areas because they're in high destination areas. And so I love that. Why that number? Why, like, how did you get to that goal? And, where are you investing next?
Oh, I don't know what really why that. I think I just threw that number out
It
there.
just feels good.
To be honest, I feel like anything more is just too much. So it's like let's just like that's probably like the top of the Mount Everest of short-term rentals. That's not, the funny thing is like that's not even like my full-on Mount Everest. What I really want to do is just like I just want to bring joy to everyone, anyone. And however way I can do that, like I love the short-term rentals and doing that for like the celebration for women celebrating these lifelong memories events. And that just brings me so much joy. That's why I want to create this amazing business, this amazing brand that's very recognizable to serve others in that way. But also to really just get out of that rat race for my own self. But I would love to really just help women in need. And I feel like once I acquire these other properties, I can start funding that money into actually helping women through like domestic violence or yeah, just the whole like co-living idea and being able to get them out or even just donating in general to an amazing nonprofit. Like that's the real goal. That's kind of what keeps me moving, especially through like the difficult like times. Like I'm building this so I can create this or so I can, just give back to this. But
Absolutely. Which is super cool. I
I
mean,
don't.
you do this so that that's the key words is you can do
Mhm.
all these other things and help all these people. It's not about 25 doors just for you so you can have it all.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
it's not, I get that fully respect it. And I love that you're doing that. Like I'm in the co-living world a little bit as well. And we've kind of been venturing into it and I love the idea and it's very different than short term. Short term is fun And to your point, you get to host people's vacations. Like that's cool. And obviously it's
hmm
not all rainbows and roses all the time, but it really is it's a very different experience. And it can,
Yeah,
a successful one can cash flow really well and fund those other more purposeful endeavors, at the same time.
exactly. Yeah. And one thing too, like there, Airbnb has changed so much, and a lot of people just got into these properties real quick and probably not at the best time. And, they're probably struggling now and they don't know what to do with it. One thing that's actually what I'm working on right now. So I'm working on a property in St. Thomas. I'm about to head there in a couple days. And it was someone's primary residence, and she ended up moving back to the States to be the primary caregiver for her parents. And she doesn't have a lot of time. She's very low on money because she's basically like, you know, taking care of them, and everything that she makes is going to them and their hospital bills and everything. And so she's like, I don't want to lose out on my property. Like, I want to keep it. I want to like go back eventually and like just stay in it here whenever I want, and, just keep it in the family and stuff. And so now I'm coming in helping her. I'm going to have actually an equity position. I'm bringing in the money. We're going to basically, it does need some work. So we're going to remodel the whole thing. It has a pool that needs to be fixed. And so I'm taking care of all that and being that boots on the ground for her. And then, I'm going to help run it for her. So basically, all she has to really worry about is if the money hit her account today or tomorrow, you know?
I love
She's
that.
just
I love that
gonna
method.
start,
So you're
yeah,
partnering, you're not arbitraging, you're partnering, and then you run it, you do your Bre things on it. It becomes
the
super
Dreamhouse
successful,
brand.
and the
Yep.
partner has an equity. The seller. Wow, that's awesome. That's super cool. It's unique. I've never heard anybody doing that. It makes sense that people do that, but I love that you are doing that in St. Thomas for a gal that, probably couldn't do that herself. Not right now.
That's why I'm trying to build this brand too that's very recognizable, is to be able to serve everybody. But with the St. Thomas, it's not going to be strictly just for like pink everywhere. We're going to be more of like a retreat vibe, Tulum vibe. So it still obviously can cater very well to women, but very gender neutral too. So not all my properties are like, let's throw up a bunch of pink and glitter everywhere. No, we like, whatever
Yeah,
the,
they're
wherever
just
the location
themed.
is, exactly, that's where it's going.
Right.
That's the theme to it. And then it has its
It's
own name
it's
too. But
it's a
yeah,
curated experience. I love it.
exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's wrap this up, Bre. So, my last two questions for you. First and foremost, you already answered it, but remind people again where they can reach out to you and connect with you on social, your website. Where can people find you?
So all my social handles is at the Dreamhouse Girl, at the Dreamhouse Girl. And then also like my properties is stay at Dreamhouse. I am growing my YouTube channel, and if anybody wants me to do some content creation at their properties that's really cool and unique, let me know. I don't have to stay in there. I can just come stop by and do it for free. So growing that. And then what was your last question?
My last question was, obviously this podcast is called the Yoked Podcast, where we talk about all things business, real estate, but it's kind of partnered with purpose. And so in your business right now, what would you say that you are currently yoked to?
Honestly, I would have to say building partnerships and community with, like you said before, like the Subto community. I would definitely not be where I'm at today without them. I
Mhm.
would probably still be sitting here with one property. And I really am understanding the power of partnerships and doing this together.
It is very real. I'm with you. It's so easy in this business to be a solopreneur, and it takes a lot of discipline, at least for me. It takes discipline and effort to go in and actually partner and level up with people
hmm
around you. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that answer. Cool. Well, Bre, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have a wealth of knowledge. I'm excited for people to hear what you have to say. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow along with Bre as well, and go stay at one of her places. All right. Thanks, Bre.
Yeah, thanks, Travis.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Yoke Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.